First item on tonight's agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Mrs. Tanner, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up, we have the non-public and public meeting minutes of May 4th.
Motion to accept the minutes.
Any comments or questions on the minutes?
I'll second.
Second, thank you. Any comments or questions on the minutes?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that's 4-0. Consent agenda.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda for May 18, 2023. Accounts payable payment manifest dated 5/11/23. Accounts payable payment manifest dated 5/18/23. Payroll payment manifest dated 5/11/23. Transfer of funds from EMS fundraiser account to the town's general fund in the amount of $80. Distribution of funds from the accrued wages fund in the amount of $2,735.35. 5-year review approval for map lot 102-045, $500 veterans credit. 2023 first property tax warrant in the amount of $5,849,328.81. 2023 supplemental tax warrant for Newfound Meadows Housing Association in the amount of $15,404.50.
Second.
Second, is there any item on that list that anybody wants taken off to talk about?
Just grateful for how short it was.
All right, very good. All those in favor of the consent agenda as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that is also 4-0.
Sean, do you need that motion for the
Yeah.
public minutes? Motion to seal the non-public minutes indefinitely, as they may render a proposed action ineffective.
Of the day, of this day.
What's that?
5/18.
5/18.
Today's one.
Oh, non-public.
Gets worse.
Non-public session minutes of 5/18/2023.
Cold medicine's kicking in.
Sorry, Deb.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Scott. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstentions, thank you. We're very happy to have the family of Sergeant Barry Turner with us tonight. And I understand that Police Chief Dean has a presentation that he would like to do.
Yeah. So we wanted to thank Paula and the family for Barry's service the last 5.5 years at Town of Bristol, but also his whole career to New Hampshire.
The microphone.
Oh. Did that go down? It might go down. We've done this earlier. So we got something for both the kids kind of to remember Barry in the town of Bristol, as well as for Paula. So I wanted to present them that. So if you guys want to come up here. So for Paula, we get a shadow box with Barry's whole career with the Plymouth Police Department as a sergeant, the Holderness Police Department as a lieutenant, and then the Bristol Police Department as a sergeant, so that she can hang on the wall and remember. Then for each of the kids, we got his detective sergeant badges, which were actually his badges for them to have for their wall. You're welcome. Thank you guys. So I just wanted them to have the ability to come in, meet you guys in the wonderful town of Bristol. I should present these.
I joined the procession and we went to the memorial service, and the outpouring was just
It
incredible.
was amazing.
And I think that the way that you folks handled it as well was just a testament. And obviously, under very sad circumstances, but a good man who gave a lot of his life for these communities, and we greatly appreciate it. He'll be missed.
Thank you. He really loved working here.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
He had great plans. I mean, Chris, so
Yeah.
thank you. Thanks to everybody for everything. It's been amazing.
So happy to have you guys
Thank you.
tonight.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's all I've got.
Okay.
That was a lot.
That's not really true.
Nice job by you guys. once again.
Yeah. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're not done with ceremony. Tonight we have the,
No.
no?
I got who was working tonight mixed up, so he's not working tonight.
We don't have the promotion or the new police officer introduction for tonight.
Okay,
The
We switched our
schedules got
schedule
mixed up,
this
so-
weekend.
okay. All excited
Last to know.
to do that. All right.
So we are all now.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Try not to break that paper up while you're
I know, right?
Thank you, everybody.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. So bittersweet.
So yes, there was a slight mix-up in scheduling, so we have to, we'll be doing that, probably in next meeting.
Okay. All right, very good. Welfare guidelines, allotment update. Ingrid, join us?
Okay.
Twice a month.
Yeah.
Hang on. I gotta put it up in. I should put it away.
So my understanding is in the course of reviewing our policies, that there was an opportunity and a need to make some updates and changes to the policy
Correct.
based on the allotments for certain benefits that are provided. to
Should
the
a person be
community
eligible? Yep.
if they're eligible. Can you just give us a quick update? I don't need figures, but just things that have been adjusted.
So we've added some areas compared to the previous numbers, or is it the previous needs? We've added some areas to the new allotments and brought the numbers, or at least percentages, into the ranges of what we are seeing in current times versus the previous numbers.
Okay. Yep. Are there any questions or comments from the board, actually, and/or public at this point regarding this item? Nope. All right. Great.
I believe Christina has a copy for you all to
Yep.
sign.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion. Yep.
I'll make a motion to accept the amended levels of allowance.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay.
Yep. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Les. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that passes 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christine.
Now you can enjoy the rest of your night.
You as well.
Beach ordinance, update.
I don't know if you want to do that now or hold off and do it later.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Yep. What's that?
Put it in council.
Oh, yeah. Energy committee. projects.
So I messed up their date.
Okay.
They're coming June 1st. So the good news is, you don't have to talk about them tonight too.
All right,
Just keeps going.
moving down the line. Technology Committee.
Yes, okay, so, I don't know if you want to pull up the presentation or whatnot.
I'll introduce John Miller for the minutes.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Technology Committee Chair.
Welcome.
So trying to do a few things actually, for all of us. One, I put together sort of what I'm gonna consider to be our standard template that I'm gonna try to have us use. So we always answer the same kinds of questions for anything that we get asked to take a look at, right? So it breaks out into what's the problem? What are we trying to solve? What are the contract and budget implications? What's our overall recommendation, right? So there's about 8 slides on there. And actually, maybe the first thing, do we need to review, Christina, the charter? Because I don't think we ever really got that approved yet.
Sorry, there are 2 things that use on the agenda for tonight. One is to talk about guidelines. I
Yep.
don't, the draft is before you, but I think you might want to just start with the presentation
Sure.
first. And
Yeah, you can just, if you just go back to, just hit present on the bottom right.
yeah, where I can't read from here, but it won't let
This
me.
little guy here.
This one.
Yeah. So then you just hit that, and yeah, just hit space, there we go. So
Yeah.
anyway, so that's the basic section. So problem statement, current state, options, any technical steps, ancillary considerations.
Deb can't see it, so.
Oh,
Deb, did I send you the presentation?
No.
Okay. So she is able to see it.
okay, are we on Zoom? And if we're presenting in Zoom, we can't see it?
I have to share it first.
Yeah, but you can share it. And then you can hit the little button and that should do
This
this.
one?
Yeah.
Can you see the full screen, Deb, when it comes
I
up?
can. Yes.
This one?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry about that.
Are you questioning the technology committee?
Yes, I am. He's used to it.
Hey, it's all good. We're all gonna get there together.
Yeah.
Here's the bottom line. One of the first things I try to do as far as this particular document goes is I'm trying to drive a level of consistency in how we answer questions. Right? Primarily because when you look at sort of a couple things, and this is sort of the beginning of probably many conversations that we need to have, right? And I'll speak about from the planning board in a second, as well as the technology committee. Bottom line here, right now, with this proposal is really around the internet connection today is provided by Plymouth State University, okay? We use the fiber optics that was put in town a few years ago. That was the grant work that was done, okay? Sometimes I think we conflate, right? Hey, the internet with the fiber, with how services are provided and whatnot, right? So like the fiber itself is only a literal stick of wire that goes from point A to point B. And then we have to sort of talk about the services that run on it thereafter, right? Like, and there's a whole lot of background as far as it gets into that. Definitely, we probably should schedule an evening where we can kind of go through sort of like what we intend to do, right? And that also goes from a planning board perspective, because I referenced the fiber work that was done when we did the vision statement last year, right? There's a bunch of work that the planning board needs to do that I think that this gets encompassed into. All right, so that's sort of the background. Again, I think for me, especially when engineers and technologists get going, we tend to throw a lot into a lot of different people, which is kind of why I feel like a structured approach to answer the questions in these way, and just sort of like lay out some of the options. Now, again, if there's something that that folks aren't familiar with, definitely we can nail it down and kind of go through it. The bottom line is, if you want, here.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So again, it's the municipal internet connection, which basically leaves this building and it goes to Plymouth State, to a room in Plymouth State. And up at Plymouth State, our firewall lives there. okay? So today, if we had a problem and somebody said the internet is down, we had this situation with community services, they would call up and say, hey, we have an issue with the internet. Their connection comes into this building and then it leaves this building and it goes to Plymouth State. And the way it's currently set up today, there's no good visibility into where a problem could be. Okay, I mean, literally somebody would have to drive from here and drive the path of the fiber if we think it's a physical problem. And see, oh, is there a tree down? And so we'll get into that in a second, but basically that's the current sort of situation today. And when you look at, again, the contract is expiring. The original contract was written, it was a 1-year contract for 500 megs from PSU. We're paying, or out of the grant money was paid the $950 a month. So we can hit the next one.
No, we paid it out of the budget.
Did we? Okay, so all right, some of the stuff I thought was that, but okay.
We paid it out of the budget, and we paid it
I wasn't around.
in 2021, and they extended it because they weren't done yet.
Yeah.
And so it's expired. So we actually got, for a 1-year rate, we got a year and a half, almost 2 years from them.
Yeah.
So,
We can hit the next one. All right, so, just going over all that. The notable point on the current state here is the current contract auto renews, and it's an annual contract now, and we're supposed to give them 60 days notice if we're gonna do something different, okay? We can hit the next one. So, a couple things that we asked PSU to do. The first one is I asked them to give me a utilization report, like, okay, how are we using this, okay? And we basically peak between 150 to 175 megs. So the bottom line is we can reduce the bandwidth that's needed right now. The challenge that comes with reducing the bandwidth, one of the things that we have to do, and this will go sort of like again into maybe some wider discussions longer term. When you do that, when you're trying to make sure that your bandwidth is in line with what the overall utilization needs is, you gotta have a regular review process, probably quarterly, to go, hey, did we add anything in? Did we add a building? Did we add something that then caused the need to go up? Okay, because when you think about our internet connection today, how we function as a community is significant utilization of the internet, because most of the services, when we're using Microsoft Office, that's Office 365, it's in the cloud. You take the internet and you go to get it that way. The police department, they have the VPN connection between here and Franklin, right? Like, all of these things use the internet to get done. So we don't want to do something where we're not paying attention to how much our bandwidth is being utilized.
Right.
All right, so
anything
you want, Robert.
So your first bullet there, PSU provider news reports. So is that 175 megabytes that we're drawing or that they're providing?
No, so they're providing 500 today.
Okay.
So configured today,
So we're getting what?
we're totally getting,
Expect.
well, we're totally getting that. What they're saying is when they look at our overall utilization, we're peaking now around 175 meg. So that's the basis behind we could probably go to 200 meg and be totally fine with how we normally function.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is when you do things like that, you also need to make sure you review it periodically and not wait for, Jesus, everything's slow.
Right. It's like dropping your usage on your cell phone bill, and all of a sudden you start getting upcharges.
Well, because all of a sudden, oh, hey, the kid added a phone or whatever, right? Like, so it's just a matter of just being in tune with that operation.
So let me ask you this, the infrastructure of the system.
Yep.
Who is responsible for maintaining the infrastructure?
See, there's where, so again, I think that's gonna warrant a much longer conversation.
yes.
At the end of the day, here's how it lays out today. We talked a minute ago about the fiber, okay? The way the contracts are currently written, I do think we need to renegotiate a few things, but the way the contracts are currently written, where we did the grant, we got the fiber optics, we're transferring them to Hub 66, the town is getting the benefit of about 12 strands inside that bundle for the town to keep for its own usage. But the bundle itself will belong to Hub 66. All right, so now if I take that and I use the internet example that we have today, okay? So we pay basically Plymouth State to provide us internet access. So if we have a problem on the internet, right now, we have to sort of discern where that is. Do we think it's a physical layer problem? And then it's Hub 66,
Right.
okay? If it's a logical problem where a device is failing, it's probably a little bit of Nesset. It's a little bit of Christina. Like when we had there was some VPN challenges when the police department moved. It was a little bit of, like that's one of the things that we're trying to sort of get our arms around as a technology group, to try to go, let's get this in some sort of a semblance of order so we know exactly who to call when. The water department's got what they call a SCADA network, right? That's for the industrial stuff that's down there, okay? Those, right, so those are generally like closed systems. So they're using fiber optics to get between 2 points, which is great, and they should, but then that means the only reason they would call Hub 66 is if we thought the problem was on the fiber itself, like, and you gotta go through steps to get there.
Bro.
Right, so my point is like, I think as we dig into this, like we start with this, and we kind of, we need to sort of continue to kind of work this, and sort of unwind it a little bit, and then try to put some processes in place that sort of streamline and standardize all this stuff. Hence why I've also tried to like put together one doc that says I want to answer the same questions every time. And then that way, as we do more and more of this, you guys will be like, oh, I know what that section's about, right? That kind of thing.
Just, I'm sorry for asking.
No, you're all good.
I generally ask a lot of questions. Breeze
That's
Line,
generally my job.
so hypothetically, Breeze Line Consolidated, are they paying Hub 66?
No.
No.
They have their
So
own.
they have separate infrastructure. So again, this is why, like, again, we really gotta go over those pieces. So
Breeze Line Consolidated have nothing to do with fiber.
that's correct.
Okay,
Hub 66
They have
does.
their own
They have their own infrastructure,
gotcha.
okay? And like, there was an article about a month ago, Consolidated did finish the grant to finish the internet in Grafton County. Okay?
Yeah.
But it's their fiber, it's for them to use, they're trying to provide services to the town, right? The piece that I think we have to continue to get together with Hub 66 on is, they're basically trying to go get, our 3,000-ish users from Bristol onto their services, but they're competing with Breeze Line, and they're gonna compete with Consolidated. Right? Now, I personally believe, and that's why I was excited about it when we did the vision statement for the master plan last year. I'm excited that we have access to the fiber, but we need to sort of like nail this thing down. Because right now, the EDC had a bunch of work that they did around, okay, we want to do this because we want to bring in businesses, right? We haven't really connected all the dots here that we need to connect.
Agreed.
Right? And that's why I made the comment about the planning board, because I definitely have a particular opinion around the master plan and how we need to really link that to all of this work and have some sort of coordinated efforts, because we've done a lot of great things, but we have a lot of things that aren't necessarily operationalized. And right now, what happens when something breaks, it's Christina or Chris, or right, and they're kind of going, everybody's going, well, who's the responsible party? And everybody has a little bit of everything right now. And I think objectively, and this is John's personal opinion, the objective of the board in the past has been, we don't want the responsibility of those things. However, you can't really transfer the responsibility of the strategy and some of those pieces to somebody else, because that has to be linked to how we're planning to do things as a town. Does all that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So where all of this goes effectively, I mean, in truth, we could turn around and not use the fiber, and we could get Hub 66 or Breeze Line or Consolidated to put in a connection upstairs, plug it in. We still need to work on redundancy, and we'll get to that conversation in a second. We could literally do that in a minute and then not use the fibers that go to Plymouth State. Again, me personally, I think that's a mistake for a couple of different reasons. The connection to Plymouth State gives us access to not only their network and how things happen in New Hampshire, it gives us access to internet too. I will tell you, we asked them to run a report and say, how much are we getting to those other services, and we don't get to them very much right now. But depending on what we're doing with the EDC and sort of where we're going, I think we need that flexibility right now and somewhat of the consistency of how we've got it to date. So then we can work with Hub 66 and Breezeline and Consolidate and sort of figure out some of those other pieces.
So I guess what I'm a little confused on is how are Breezeline Consolidated even in the conversation where they have nothing to do with fiber?
They have fiber, but when their own infrastructure means their own fiber.
Their own, so
So they're converting over.
yeah, so, and so on a personal note, so here's we go again. I would like to see, how do we use some of our fiber strands to maybe relieve them of some things where maybe one of them gets to interact with us in the town and go, oh, we want to rent some of your fiber to offload our traffic. Like, well, you know, I think that's more of a long-term play. The other reason I have them listed here was, if, earlier when I said, when you look at how the town functions, we use a lot of cloud services to get our stuff done. Well, right now, we only have one internet connection. So we're basically, right now, whether we're, you know, saying it out loud or not, we're basically saying a single point of failure is okay. And that we're okay being down for however long it needs to be down. And I don't know that we want to, you know, openly say, or I don't know that we want to say that sort of long-term. I think long-term, based on how we're doing things, we're probably going to have to isolate certain services and go, these services need a level of redundancy. These ones are okay to be down, right? But we're also pretty far from there. But that's actually why those are up there, because the redundancy piece is where I start to think of Hub 66 and or Breezeline and or Consolidated. And I don't think we need to have all four, by the way. I think it's PSU right now, and we pick sort of whatever makes the most sense next.
Okay, and I'll just add two things. There's also New Hampshire Electric Co-op. They're overbuilding fiber in some locations where there's already fiber being added. So they've approached the town to set up to talk to us, but we haven't had that conversation yet.
Okay.
And the last thing I'll add is the backup ISP is not it. We found this out with the move for the server room. That's what John means by we don't have any backups too, because it's been down for a long time. Nobody knew. So that's hopefully being resolved, but soon, very soon.
Okay, and so we can hit the next slide, but then just to further that, while we're talking about sort of like that backup internet for a second, the reason why you'll see in here that I'm basically saying we move the firewall from PSU down to here is for a very simple reason. And the simple reason is, the further away we are from the core, the harder it is to start to do things where going, okay, if this is down, I want to go this way. Or I want to configure to use them both at the same time. Right? Because it's up in Plymouth.
So that'll give you redundancy.
Yes,
Right.
so when we get to getting the redundancy sorted out, the more that it's here in town, the more options and control that we have.
Yeah.
And we can standardize that. The other thing is PSU uses equipment that we wouldn't want to buy because it's super expensive. That'll basically monitor the fiber, because it's using the fiber, but it's intelligent enough to go, if a tree branch fell and it was at 2,463 feet, it would say, hey, you know what, it's broken at 2,400.
Kind of like when the beaver chewed the tree.
Correct, right? Like, because that stuff happens, right? So, and then, again, we will, through this process, establish the protocol that, hey, the fiber optics is actually owned by Hub 66, and then they'll go through the process of contacting Hub 66 on our behalf. Right? So that's kind of why we're looking at this and going, okay, let's, you know, get our arms around it. And again, this is just, I mean, in all intents and purposes, the tip of the iceberg around how we're looking at operationalizing all the technology requirements of the time.
What's the cost associated with either adding or moving a firewall?
Moving the firewall is going to be minimal at best. It's going to be we got to engage Nesset to make sure that they can log into it. One of my challenges today is I don't know that they actually have total access to that firewall. And right now, if we had a problem, we don't have a procedure to actually say, you contact this person at PSU, and you go to this building, and you park here, and then you go here. Like there's all of these. There was a speed at which this stuff was, I think, originally installed to get it sorted, and they did it, and it's functional. Now it's a matter of, okay, well, what does it mean to be operational? Because right now, if we had an internet outage, they're all calling Christina, and they're going, hey, what's going on? I mean, you know.
Within the town.
Yes.
In Nesset's our IT company, correct?
Yes. Yeah, Nesset is the one that's they're your,
Provider.
yeah, they're your hot arms to do stuff, right? And they're basically your first responder, right?
Technically,
Well,
not for
yeah.
everything, sorry.
Correct, and so that's the piece, right? Like it'll be the laptops, it'll be the PCs. Their proposal says that they have an inventory of servers and they do utilizations. So we're trying to go through the process to go, okay, great, show me that. Like if that's what like the proposal says you do this, somebody just show me the report. And right now, PSU, when I found Tony and called him and said, hey, I want this, he goes, yeah, no problem. 20 minutes later, my email was like, here's the report, this is what we have. Like, so it was very straightforward. So I don't really want to go changing that a lot.
Yeah.
Because right now I feel like we actually can understand it, we can operationalize it, we can kind of take steps, and then that one's a checkbox, and at the same time, we're addressing the cost.
I will let you know that House 66 has approached us and asked to take it over, but I do agree with John because we are just barely figuring it out and to change. I think we would be more ready to look at other options next year, but we're not. We're just starting to learn where everything is going. Their price is
About half, because
is
they basically said about
actually
$200
less
a
than
month.
half, but
It was $200 a month for a gig. Well, we don't need a gig. And then two, again, I think we start to give up some pieces. I mean, in all honesty, Hub 66, Breezeline and Consolidated, Hub 66 is in the best position to be able to be, the thing. But now what we have to worry about as a town, since they're the ones that own the fiber, okay? They own the fiber.
they will.
Guess what? The path is gonna be the same.
Right.
So we're gonna have to sort of knowingly go into that and go, okay, what does that pathing look like? And sort of as an aside, we're working on, or I know the work has already begun to go through Hebron, right?
Yep.
Again, sort of in the back of my head, I kind of think about the new public safety building. Should we have a termination there instead of here, right? There's gonna be a lot of stuff that's here in this building, and that's important, but we gotta be careful to not put so much here that no matter what, if this building has a problem,
Right.
everybody's got a problem, right? Whereas eventually when that's fully constructed, we're gonna have to be able to deal with emergency services and all that other jazz, right? So anyways, that's what I mean, like this is sort of the tip of the iceberg, but wanted to hit that. We'll just hit we talked about all of that stuff. Okay, so right now what they're proposing is a 3-year contract instead of the auto renew contract that we're in. They have sent us terms that said they really only want 30 days notice instead of 60 days notice. They will adjust our bandwidth within a few days. Like if we did our quarterly review and we saw we were really bumping up against the 200 meg and we said, hey, we need 250 or 300 or whatever is the appropriate amount, they'll bump that up within a few days. What I want to do is as long as you guys are okay with it, I want to then go back to them and go, okay, here, I kind of want 200 or maybe 250 for the $400 a month. And let's kind of get the legal T's and C's, and Bruce Dorner's is in the group too, right?
Yeah.
So I've got Bruce going through all of the contracts, and kind of let's tighten that up with them. But I added this section specifically because at town meeting I asked the budget committee if they had copies of contracts that we had for all this stuff. So and they didn't. So in my head I'm trying to kind of go, okay, whatever we do, I want to have a repository of these are the contracts, these are the dates, when it started, when it's supposed to end, what the term, rough terms, so people understand, if it's 60 days notice, then here's the date you gotta give notice to say we're doing something different.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like PSU is in a position where they're trying to be uber flexible with us because we're trying to figure it out.
Right.
So,
I just need to make sure that those discussions that are happening, Bruce Dorner can't be the legal review, all the negotiations.
100%.
They're here, and we would have to have them reviewed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's, so, just, how does this compare to models in other communities?
You mean as far as contract length and stuff like that and cost?
No, just as far as like, this case, control, like you were saying, like, as far as setup with access for PSU.
So my last town, I lived,
66.
yeah, I lived in Litchfield, New
Yeah.
Hampshire last, and my good friend runs the technology stuff there. So very similar situation around sort of contract terms and the things that we're trying to do here. The part that's very different here is we took the steps initially to go after the fiber to bring that into town, okay? That's different than most communities. Most communities don't do that. I personally believe that's a great thing because when we sort this out, it's gonna give us a tremendous amount of the ability to control our own destiny. Okay, now, Hub 66 is still the owner, and in the current contracts, it says that they can then transfer that to whoever they have to transfer it to. And we only maintain 12 strands of the 48 or whatever's on the pole. So that part, I think, is probably the stickiest piece for me. I'm not sure I would have necessarily recommended we did that in the beginning, but at the end of the day, I feel like we're gonna be well positioned. But now it's a matter of lining us all together around where we're going. Because if you look at things like the EDC is working on, because part of when they did the fiber optic work was to try to get certain types of businesses into town, okay? Again, if I go back to the planning board stuff, like we're working on chapter 2, which is land use. Well, land use is all about zoning and what needs to be where and, you know, how much housing and things that we need. I think all of this falls into it, right? Like, I look at the fiber optic stuff and I'm trying to, in my head, go, okay, well, yeah, we have another service provider. Okay, why is that exciting? It's not. The exciting part would be, okay, how are we making sure that everybody has internet access, right? How are we making sure that people understand sort of what their opportunity is, whether it's opportunity to work from home, opportunity to increase their education, you know, training, just different things that the internet allows to happen. That if you don't have internet access, it's a problem, which is why all of the grants exist out there. They exist to try to get high-speed internet into places that didn't really have it. So, you know, if I go to put my planning board hat on for a second, like that's the kind of thing that's going on in my head, going, okay, how are we helping make sure that that goes into the development ideas and the things that we have or want, in particular also for like from a business perspective?
And just another clarification, so Hub 66 technically doesn't own it yet.
Right.
So they're supposed to be, that'll be coming before the board to sign off on that at some point, because we do have contracts in place that we are supposed to transfer the ownership once things are built out.
Yeah.
The first phase was built out almost a year ago.
Yeah.
And we haven't transferred it yet.
Talking about the actual infrastructure.
Sorry?
Yes.
Yes. Sorry,
Yes.
I didn't hear everything you said.
Yeah, because the
Yes.
grant came through the town.
So the town
Yeah.
applied for the grant, the town took the money, hired the contractors and built it out. And then according to the contracts, we're supposed to transfer a certain percent.
In
Yeah.
phases.
Back
Yeah.
out. And then when the phases were complete, we're supposed to transfer it back to Hub 66.
But Hub 66 is also supposed to hire in town, and
Yeah.
they're also supposed to do a build out upstairs. And that's kind of why I feel pretty strongly that we need to have a conversation, but whatever. Like I said, look, this is the tip of the iceberg. Anyways, so I'm trying not to, like, because there really could be a lot of different ways we could go with this. Did you want to hit the next one, Christina? I think there's only one more. Yeah, there is. Anyway, so that's, I use the light bulb because we had a bright idea at the moment. Anyways, I just tried to like isolate sort of like, okay, at the end of the day, this is what we're saying we think we should do. Now, again, I know like the 3-year term, which may be part, back to your question around what other towns do. I mean, clearly when you have a term that's like 2 or 3 years, you get better pricing because now, you know, it's a little more predictable for the other side, right? So, but the thing that I'm definitely gonna be focused on isn't so much the length of the term, but more the clauses and just trying to make sure that between, to Christina's point, our town council and what we review, just try to make sure that they're in line with what we need. Because I think when we go to the Hub 66 stuff, I think that's some of the stuff that we really gotta kind of go back after and go, hey, all right, we're not doing some of these things that we originally thought we would happen. So, anyway.
Okay. I really liked the direction. I really liked the recommendations.
This is good stuff, because I would hate for the 4 of us to have to figure this out without.
Yes.
you.
Yeah. Exactly right.
honestly, we're super fortunate, right? So like when
Yeah.
when I came before you and asked us to kind of form this group, we did two things. One is we basically made sure that we opened it up to people that are part of the Bristol community but may not be a resident here full time.
Right.
Okay, and that was on purpose to try to make sure that we were attaching ourselves to people that are really interested. So like one of my neighbors, Dan Buggy, he works with me at Cisco. I luckily live here all year round. He intends to retire here, right? But he's a data center guy. Like that's his job all day long. He works in our data center team, right? So Mark Sullivan's another one who is here year round. Kevin McCarthy, he has property on Browns Beach Road, but lives in New Hampton, right? So Kevin used to be a help desk manager, right? So like all the nested stuff, trying to get Kevin to look at, okay, what are they saying they're doing? What do we got to do to shore that up? Mark did technology sales, so helping us sort of like figure out some things. Bruce Dorner, he's a lawyer. Hey Bruce, where does all this stuff say? So we're trying to like take all of those different capabilities and align them in a way that just helps us sort through it, right? Because it is a lot to sort of unravel here, but at the way we function as a community, we need the technology.
Absolutely. Yeah.
David.
I love what you just said. When people ask about what's going on in Bristol, one of the things I always bring up is the fact that people are coming to town and volunteering their expertise, which has been such a tremendous help to the community and so greatly appreciated.
Yeah, no, it's all
You
good.
included, John.
We're here to try to get it done.
Yeah. All right, awesome.
Anyway, so I don't know what else you need me to do with this.
With this, no, I think we just pursue renewing with the
Yep.
PSU and,
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing I would maybe say is, look, don't cut us too short on the megabytes.
100%.
250?
Yeah.
I'm just,
Yeah.
Just to be on the same page.
Yeah.
I'm sending Tony a note that says, I want 250 for 400 is what I'm gonna tell him. Right? But I didn't want to start that process with him without having this conversation first to kind of get a sense of, where do you guys want to see us try to go? Oh yeah, there's no way out.
No, you're definitely making our lives easier.
Yes. Sorry, Christina, I didn't hear that.
he's quoted us for $400 per month.
Yeah.
300 is $500 per month. We were paying $950.
Yeah.
We didn't pay it all up front, but we paid $950 a month. We actually ended up paying less because of how we stretched it.
Yeah.
Right.
But
They've been really good. Honestly, they've been really, really good to deal with.
Yeah.
Very straightforward, and I don't know, I feel like it's okay, get a little win here, get that going.
Yeah.
And then move off to the next thing.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
all right, so I don't know, I think I probably would need a vote if you want to go forward, if you're comfortable with this, to have me sign it. It's especially if it's gonna be a 3-year.
Yeah.
1 year wouldn't be a problem, because it's under 10,000.
Oh, yeah, and actually to that point, 'cause I don't think I pointed it out in the recommendations, I basically told them I think a semi-annual payment, and the reason I did it that way is to try to split it up between 2 budget years, right? Because whether we do it monthly or semi-annual doesn't matter, because now it's coming out of the same bucket.
Right.
But if we split it across 2 years, then it allows us to sort of get ahead with the budget committee, hand them the contracts and go, okay,
Yeah.
even if we got a little bit of overage here right now, it allows us to plan into next year.
We don't hand contracts to the budget committee. We just tell them, we let them know what we're paying for, what it covers.
I get it.
Okay. But, so if you're okay with that, we'll just pursue, but it probably would be good to have a.
Yep. Okay, I'll make that motion to allow the town administrator to enter into a up to 3-year agreement with Plymouth State University for the continuation of our internet, as our internet provider.
Sorry.
Second by Rob. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Great. Thank you. That's 4-0.
Awesome, thank you. Just from a planning board perspective,
We're not done yet, though.
oh, okay.
So I don't know, I'm sorry, unless you want to. So, the next thing is to talk about we've been doing this with all of your committees.
Yep.
They've given us a draft. Obviously, there's some things that have to be added in potentially, but this is the basic draft And I can let John, let me just share again, John.
Yeah, you know,
I can let John explain.
it's been a while since I did this. Oh yeah, so basically in here, all I tried to do is isolate, you know what, at least once a quarter, we should have a conversation so you guys understand what we're up to. We're trying to use Dropbox where we have a central repository to kind of keep stuff. Again, the development of like that template, gonna limit it to 5 people. I think that's definitely more than enough. And we, again, I think the folks that we have in the group now, we try to target different skill sets to be able to help us kind of through stuff. I think that was about it.
The only thing that we would have from the other guidelines to add would be there's no proposed budget for work completed by the committee.
Right.
And then we didn't, so technically one of the things that we've found out in this process is we've kind of made them like an ad hoc, not responsible for, but if they, minutes and stuff, but they have a specific charter, then they're gonna have to start doing that.
Okay.
So we added that with the Energy Committee as well, that they had to provide notice of meetings and minutes, the statutes are required. And then the only other thing that we've been pretty clear about adding and all is information provided to the public, so, and that whole paragraph about it has to go be approved.
Yeah.
And if the board or the TA doesn't support it, then they have to do it as individual members and not members as of the committee.
Okay. You can tell me all the rules.
Do you need a motion to approve the guidelines, or is that?
It'll come back.
Yeah, it
Wanted
needs to come
make-
back. I think this was just trying to make sure we were on the same page. Because the last time I was in here was to sort of get the thing formed.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome.
And if you're good with the membership as defined right now, and would you cap it at 5?
Is that what we have 5 now?
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
counting me. Oh, counting you is 6.
Counting me, but I don't.
Yeah, I would say 5 plus
yeah.
10 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%, that's good.
Okay.
So I'll prepare this for your June, just
Great.
to have you on the consent agenda, then I'll make those changes.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Thanks.
John, you can call me Rob unless I'm in trouble.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Gladstone.
That's it.
Good God.
Just had a flashback.
It was funny you said Robert, I'm like, where did you get that?
Well, you know what, I'm reading off that cue card there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's
So
why
at least,
I'm in trouble.
at least it means I can read.
Yeah, this is good. Thank you, John, that was
All
great.
right, yeah, no sweat.
And you had one other comment?
Yeah, it was just on the planning board stuff. I didn't know if you had a chance to I don't know if
No,
Dawn's
not
thing.
yet.
Okay.
That'll be under the TA tonight.
Okay. All right, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My God, it's 6:45, sorry.
Have a good night.
I was trying to get out of here.
Do we want to do beach or do you want to do, yeah, okay.
I just figured get the people that were
Yep.
waiting.
Yep. Beach ordinance.
Let me-
Thanks, John.
Thanks, guys.
See you, John.
See you.
See you Wednesday.
Is there something going on at Old Town Hall?
Yes.
Yeah, what?
Memorial service.
Oh, that's where it is,
Yeah.
okay. There were so many cars pulling in and then turning and
Yeah.
moving.
So I met with both Rima unfortunately couldn't be here this evening, but I met with Rima, and I met with Deb. Deb's online. Deb can help answer some questions. The suggestions that are before you came from that meeting, we had them reviewed by the town's attorney. There's one additional change I'd have to make, but before I did that, I want to have a discussion about the changes to make sure that they're all supported. The reason some of this had to be done was because there's policies internally that were being done, that have been done for years, but they weren't in the ordinance. So, you know, we do need to make those corrections and see if the board still supports those as well. So I can touch base on the red changes. Actually, you were sent one with just red changes. The blue changes also came from the town's attorney. And then there was one final thing that came out this evening that's not in your packet. So minor changes at the beginning, obviously, is wording. The town's attorney added the actual RSAs in there. And then when you get down under annual beach permits, the part that was added, there are restrictions on parking permits listed under section 4A, which we can talk about. And then the other one was no more than 2 annual beach permits may be issued per household. That's been standard practice. However, I'm putting it before the board to make sure that whether you support that or not. Rayma was pretty adamant that it be put in there. She feels that there's, and Deb, chime in if I'm not representing it correctly, but she feels that there's not enough parking at the beaches to have the family take all 4 vehicles at one time. And she feels that having 2 per household is sufficient.
And to clarify, we've been doing that
Correct.
for several years now,
For several years.
even pre-pandemic, right?
Yes, in
Yeah.
pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
Deb, did I miss anything on that part?
That was the policy for Hawaii that arrived, Sean.
Yep, yep.
So how have we been enforcing the policy that's not in writing, is what I want to know.
I
How
think
did
that,
enforce the 2, Scott? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm asking about the issuance of the limit to 2 per household.
I think there may have been a miscommunication, unfortunately. I think Rayma thought that had been, she'd asked for it to be added in the past to the ordinance, and I'm not sure what happened. It was never added, and she thought it had been.
Yeah, so she's been enforcing
She's been
that
enforcing it.
as the point person.
Right.
Yeah,
So I don't, so that's unfortunately what happened, I think.
Yeah.
So this would rectify that.
Correct.
So I personally take issue with that, as somebody that's a taxpayer and somebody that has multiple vehicles that are paying, good money to register those vehicles, and then being told that, no, I can't be issued a beach stick, more than 2 beach stickers. So basically, if you happen to be up by the lake and you want to go to the beach, it's, well, go home and get your other vehicle because you don't get a beach sticker. So this has come up multiple times with me, where, and others that, I've spoken to, that I've been told 2 different stories behind this as to why we do it. The first one I was told was, well, we can't do that because people are giving out beach stickers to other people. And I was like, well, that's not a very good answer, considering the registration numbers written on the beach permit. We pay beach attendants to monitor that, and they can cross-reference that with the plate, so that shouldn't be a problem. And then the same thing came up again this year, and now I'm being told that the issue is because of residents along Shore Drive getting too many beach permits and taking up too many spaces. So, and I agree that could potentially be a problem, but why are other people being punished because of the actions of only those that live on one street?
I don't feel like it's a punishment, though. I feel like having 2 beach stickers per family is not a hardship on a family.
I'm not saying it's a hardship, Les. I'm looking at it on the principle of the money that I'm paying in town in taxes, as well as what I'm paying in vehicle registrations. So I feel like it's being unfairly limited. We don't limit people to how many dump stickers they can have per household. If it's a registered vehicle, you can get a dump sticker. I'm paying for the additional beach sticker, and as a taxpayer, I feel like that's our right to be able to do so.
I think the dump is a different issue only because we're not talking a minimal amount of
Right,
parking.
and that's the thing, is you're not, I don't, like I said before, this isn't a hill I'm gonna die on. If what you guys decide is, then so be it, whatever. I'm not gonna take I won't be able to take my truck to the beach. I'll have to park it down on the side of the road somewhere if that's the case. It's not gonna be the end of the world for me, obviously. What I'm saying is there's gotta be another solution we can come up with, so we don't have to, so we don't have to go about it this way. Is there a way that, and I guess I'm looking at this particular to you to help me understand the problem on Shore Drive, because obviously this is not a problem at Cummings Beach.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I see it both ways. I tried to do it last year or the year before when we got a 3rd vehicle for our new driver in the family, but we couldn't do it, so we're only limited to two.
Yeah.
So do we let the child drive, mom and dad's car down the beach, or?
It's an inconvenience, and it's, like you said, it's certainly not a hardship. But I'm just thinking between the five of us, there's gotta be another way that we can come up with to avoid the problem that we're having on Shore Drive.
I feel like that has been addressed for many, many years, though, of what is the best way to do this. So it isn't just all of a sudden we decided 2 beach stickers per person. It was because of the issues that we kept resolving and figuring out what a better way to handle it was.
Yeah, because I mean, and that's, like myself, and I'm sure in Scott's situation, we're not looking to take 3 vehicles to the beach.
Right.
It's just, we don't want to have to say, oh, we're already out, oh, no, we can't go to the beach because we gotta go home and get one of the other cars.
I mean, there is a way, I don't know how logistically it would work, but you could say, you could have more than 2 per household, but only 2 at a time.
Sure, or even one at a time.
But how do
Regulate it.
Right,
how does that person
Beach attendants
know?
sitting there with
Yeah.
registrations, they can't do that
Yeah,
legally.
exactly.
I don't believe.
So,
And I think some of it is to alleviate, to take care of our beach attendants who are overwhelmed with all the people on the beach too.
Sure.
To try to make it manageable for them, because it isn't that huge a beach.
I guess I feel like we're creating something in an ordinance to take care of the problems of a select few people.
Well, you can also look at it the other way, though. How many people is it affecting this way? The
Sure.
limit of 2.
Yeah.
Is it a few people that it's affecting, or is it a bigger group of people it's affecting too?
There are probably less people with 3 vehicles in their families to do, but.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's, I think there's a lot of other issues down there as well. It doesn't, that the beach attendants have to deal with, the police department has to deal with. Like I said, not a hill I'm gonna die on, but I'm also not gonna vote in favor of it either.
Right.
So,
Makes sense.
Deb, would that be an additional strain on the attendance
And not so.
To do what, Sean?
if you did not limit to 2?
It is no strain on our beach attendants because we're not selling them at the beach. They're
Right.
only being sold at the town office.
And there's only X amount of spaces, so,
The only thing I would worry about, and it's not a problem that we're having now, but I might foresee a problem, is you have several cars from the same family and you have those cars loaded with people. Then you have more people on the beach. If it's one driver, one person, then you don't have all those people. I just wonder how many people are coming in those cars.
Yep.
let me ask a quick question, as far as the, maybe you can answer this question. As far as the,
Come on in.
who the beach permits are issued to, do you have to have a vehicle registered in Bristol?
No.
You have to have a vehicle registered in Bristol or a tax bill, because our out-of-state seasonal people pay taxes in Bristol, but their vehicles aren't registered in Bristol.
So what if the verbiage was changed to 2 per residence or vehicles, any vehicle registered in the town of Bristol? That would solve the problem, I think.
Yeah,
And not allow people that own property but don't register here?
So you would limit it to 2 per, no, you would still allow it, but you would say 2 per residence or per vehicle registered to that household.
But what you're saying is those people who live here year-round and register their vehicles in the town of Bristol are allowed more than the 2. But those people who don't have vehicles registered in the town of Bristol and might just have a tax bill, they're held to the 2?
Yes, it would certainly need to be stated that per registered vehicles, so that it wouldn't be a free-for-all for somebody to walk in and say, I want 5 beach permits.
Well, they could if they had 5 registered vehicles in town.
Right, but they would have to have 5 registered vehicles.
So you're saying anybody who, even though they're paying property taxes, and they come up and spend the whole summer, and they drive their vehicle back and forth, it's only gonna get 2 per that household. Here.
Yes.
Yep, okay.
The other piece that's hard is not having Rayma here. Because
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Rayma
agree.
is
Yeah.
dealing with a lot of this and has been pretty adamant about the change.
Yeah.
And to not have her input and understanding of why
Sure.
we evolved to this
Yep.
is tough.
I agree.
I agree, Les.
Yeah.
Do we have to make that decision tonight?
No, it's just there's this exposure that right now, because
There's a few days from Memorial Day to,
they open up,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So,
fine.
But, we've already been selling them,
Yeah.
but we're selling them based on
on
the
this.
super household.
So it can only get better
Right,
or stay the same.
Because, well, worst case scenario is anyone that comes in now and gets them, if we have a record of people getting them,
yeah,
and we were to say, throw it out the window,
They
then
could
you
come
could
back.
call them and say, now you could.
right, you could come back, right?
And I would like to have Carol here for that discussion.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll try to reschedule it for June first, that part. I can.
Yeah, I don't wanna
No,
Well, I
it's,
don't think
delay
we
this on
want
my
to.
behalf by any means. 'Cause-
no, I mean,
No, but it makes
there's
sense.
questions and
'cause if
so.
you guys just vote 3-1, I'm not gonna, I'm just be like, okay, whatever.
But I think it's
Move
good
on.
for all of us to hear Rayma's reasoning again
Yeah, right.
all together, because it's.
Because it's, you know, it's kind of been an ongoing joke between her and I over the years.
Right.
Where, you know, one year I went in and I got my 3 beach stickers, this was a couple of years ago, and it was no problem. And next year was like, no, you can only have 2. I'm like, what are you talking about? I had 3 last year.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, when I came in the other day, and Ray was like, don't you, you know, joking with me, you know, because
Yeah.
Ray and I have a great relationship, and I don't, it's not my intention to make her life any harder either, so. So if, you know, obviously she might change my opinion too.
You never
So,
know.
Yeah.
She would have a better reasoning, I
Yeah.
think, than trying to remember what the reasoning
No.
was.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that limited window
Okay,
of ambiguity.
so going, just to touch
The good
base
band name.
on the other things, we did add what was section 4A.
Yep,
And this wording is not totally accurate, but the intent, the wording that it would say would be parking permits will not be sold to people whose only ownership taxpayer status in Bristol relates to the following: campground owners / taxpayers, individual sites, and boat slip owners / taxpayers.
right.
Makes sense.
Because those are some of the problems. There are some people who have a boat slip and are getting the beach pass.
Yeah.
But they have direct access to the water, so.
Right.
So this is current that we're not.
No, this is new. Right now, one campground is not allowed to get a beach sticker, and there are 2 campgrounds in the town, and there should be consistent,
So is Bristol Shores considered a campground?
yes.
It is.
They don't say that it is, but it is a campground. They have to close 14 weeks a year to keep
Right.
their campground status. The second one is just strictly boat slip. That's all you own.
Mhm.
And if you don't want this in there, that was something that we put in based on the conversation that felt needed to be addressed. So,
There can't be too many of those because they tend to come with deeds or
boat-
condos.
Boat slips are, well, yes, if
Marinas.
they own a condo, then they would be able to get one,
Right.
right? Adams Drive doesn't though. Adams Drive, West Shore Marine, they
Yeah.
don't necessarily cover
Right.
condos, but some.
Right.
Yeah, my only question with that, like, you know, I look at that and it's kind of the same thing, like, these people pay taxes. Particularly on boat slip, some of those boat slips are valued at $100,000.
It's crazy.
That's a fair chunk of change that they're paying in taxes every year, now we're gonna tell them, you know, that, you know, it's,
That's what the shallows are for.
what's that?
So it's
Yeah, you're right, it's walk over Wellington.
We can leave that in for the discussion for
Right.
the next
Yeah.
meeting.
Okay.
The only other, they added, service dogs must be leashed.
Yep.
And then we changed it here to enforcement, we added town administrator and select board because it said any elected or appointed town official, and I'm like, I don't think it should say that. So we changed it to be specific, the beach attendants, the town administrator, and select board.
Okay.
So, the
If I go
one
to the
thing.
beach, I don't have to like tell people they can't park there because I don't have a beach there.
No.
Yeah, you do.
If you were there and you wanted to tell someone, you have the capability of doing that, but,
Feel free to back up the attendance anytime.
Oh, I'll be
Yeah.
happy to back up the
Which-
attendance if somebody reasons why.
we've done that before,
Yeah.
but not realizing.
That we
what
really
this
could.
Said,
Yeah.
we've gone and backed them up before, but, schedule of penalties, this was thrown in there, doesn't mean it has to stay there, but, the part where we've had a few offenses on the beaches, and sometimes they've been some pretty egregious ones.
Yeah.
So the thought was, to add a little bit harsher language to say you may forfeit eligibility for future parking permits.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we would ever have to do that, but that gives us a little bit more teeth for some of the blatant.
Yeah, 'cause otherwise it's just legal for a fee.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the items down here, the blue, the attorney changed the wording and fixed it, talking about the furniture.
Yeah.
Being removed at the discretion of each attendant, she just made, it pretty much is the same thing, she just made it worded better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that was it.
Quick question on number 6 there.
Yeah.
No smoking or use of the tobacco products. Could we add in vaping on that?
That is supposed to be all tobacco products and anything that simulates smoking.
Okay.
So the wording came straight from our no smoking ordinance.
Okay.
So we took it and put it into here to make the two match. So, we could add specific vaping, but I think your simulate smoking.
Yeah.
Is there anything, I'm just breezing through.
Yeah.
Gatherings on the beach, like kid's birthday party?
Yeah, there isn't.
There is so it's not.
Is there?
Peter, we did put that in your permitting, because we had an incident on Labor Day every year where someone was showing up without a beach permit, and then they were bringing their mother's car down, and they were holding a big party.
Yeah.
And we had trash and other issues down there with it. The police were called, and we didn't have it in the permitting. And then we included town beaches in the permitting.
Actually, we didn't include them in the permitting, they're just not allowed
What?
to use them for that. Because that was one of the things we talked about, being able
I
to
remember-
allow a vendor
I
there.
remember that,
And we
yeah.
chose
Oh, right.
not to, we said that beaches were not allowed to hold events at, so.
No.
If it's a small birthday party, I don't think you would consider that a
Right.
big event, but there have been some big groups
But you
there.
might need to define what an event is.
I know. I don't
If
want to
they're,
do
they're
that
not
this year.
inspected, people will lot of trash. If they're not, they come with parking permits, we leave them alone. But, there have been a couple that have just been a little out of control.
I can look at the town property one.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's the part, you might limit
Whoops, sorry, Deb,
things
you're
that
cutting out.
would be just fine and wouldn't bother anybody. It's
Right.
just common sense.
I think she was trying to add something.
We just get nervous about safety of those people having those events at the beach,
Yep.
when we're on duty.
Right.
Okay.
So we'll bring it back on June 1st. Hopefully we'll ask Rainbow to try to be here if she can.
Yep.
And if she can't, can we ask her for some correspondence?
Yeah. Okay.
Feels like this has been a long meeting, but it's only,
I know.
we're only been in public for an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, job descriptions.
They were not included in your first packet, that went out. We had some competing schedules.
Yep.
So, let me just pull that one up. So the first one is the seasonal labor. The good news is I say, I was a mouse in their pocket. Les and Mark did the job interview this week for 2 applicants, and we should be issuing a conditional offer and having a PAF for you to sign at the next meeting, but we wanted to get the job description approved.
Great.
The only, I think that last year's job description had an extra sentence in it that may have been presented to the board that just said they lined the fields, but we took that out. So this is the job description. If you're okay, I'm going to take step 1 off because that shouldn't be on there under grade. It should just say grade 11, that's what this person starts. But the rest of it, if there's any questions about it, it's a lot of the stuff under knowledge and skills required comes from boilerplates from the other job descriptions. But I've had Les and Mark both review the major duties. The one thing we did add based on, you know what, I don't see it there. Shoot. Oh, I did, first sentence. Based on the discussion at the last meeting was to the town cemeteries. At least, and then it comes down and says at least once a month complete ground maintenance at the cemetery. So the plan was for June, July, and August to
Yeah.
help them out a little bit. So.
I noticed highway was at the one by,
Excuse me.
I don't think I remember to put it in the tier report since we're talking about it here.
Yeah.
The cemeteries all are 3/4 of the way complete.
Correct.
They will definitely have them done before Memorial Day. The highways are doing a really good job on that to help them out, trustees. And then this person, once they're hired, would help out once a month.
Yeah.
If not, if the other one, only one that they might have to do maybe an extra time would be the one on the Worthing.
Yeah.
Is that fair? Yeah, so, because that's the front facing coming into town cemetery,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was, just to add, it was very exciting, 2 very good candidates.
Oh, good.
It was great.
Yeah.
Is there any questions or concerns about that job description?
Great.
Headphones?
What?
Do you use headphones?
Well, no, not in the park. Especially with that water wheel thing.
Yeah.
No, I'm just thinking to myself, it'd be nice to be out there just mowing Kelly Park.
Yeah,
with my
just
headphones
in a
on,
zen
with a
state.
notebook or something.
Well, I don't think they're mowing.
Oh, they don't?
No, this person won't be mowing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So they,
Trevor will
so
still
it's good that they don't have headphones. They might get run over by the
All right,
mower.
they don't need headphones.
But if you're good with that, if we can have a motion, we can get that one signed.
Make a motion to approve the job description for seasonal building and grounds laborer.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Scott. Any further questions, discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that's 4-0. Why don't you just share your whole screen?
You have to go, so when you change,
Yeah.
sometimes from one document to another, it doesn't always catch that share.
Yeah,
So I always stop and reshare just to be safe.
yeah.
Especially if you change from a Word to a PDF to something else, so. The next one is the shared, for lack of a better title, we call it the shared assistant.
Yep.
Rayma had done assistant town clerk, tax collector, but we threw in those extra hours just to help out, hopefully with budget committee. It's really hard to add a little bit about budget committee into this description. It's mainly town clerk, tax collector items. But I did add a sentence that says that they must be able to compose minutes and prepare meetings for committees, boards, or commissions as required by the executive office, as well as any other tasks as assigned by the town administrator. And so, but the 3/4 of this job description is related to town clerk, tax collector, so. But budget committee, again, isn't all year long.
Yeah.
So, if you're good with that.
Can we use
look
that?
through- Sorry.
Can you use headphones?
They may want to, I'm kidding. If you're good with that, the job description, it came straight from Raymond's office. It mirrors mainly the deputy town clerk, tax collectors with a couple of word changes. So.
Make a
motion.
motion.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I did the last one.
make a motion to
Up to.
approve the shared assistant job description for town clerk, tax collector, executive office. Part non-exempt.
And seconded by Rob. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Abstentions, that's a 4-0.
We have, we have posted, we put this out, the only place I didn't remember to finish was putting it in the paper. But I did get it posted on the website, we put it on Indeed, and we're already getting applicants.
Great.
It will be a little bit of a delay of getting that interview process started. If it's gonna be too long, I just may do them, just because I want to get this person in
Yeah.
as soon as possible, so.
Yeah.
I don't like these glasses, my other one's broke today, so like,
This year looking good.
stuff I did get me in trouble.
Oh,
Okay, TA report.
I'll try to make it quick and painless. Public safety building, I'll give you an update, the project has run into some ledge. They will not be blasting, but are hammering the area. This has not slowed down the timeline yet, and things are still progressing forward. We're anticipating that forms are going in this week, and pending the rain over the weekend, there should be the start of concrete being poured next week.
Nice.
They're still waiting on the New Hampshire DOT permit for the driveway. Request for information has been submitted by New Hampshire DOT, and the answers have been supplied, and we're just waiting to find out, get the final approval. Any other ARPA fund usage has been placed on hold until we're able to determine how much interest there is on the bond. A clerk of the works idea for review, and I've come up with another couple of contracts that have turned up from June of last year that I need to determine how they're being paid for, if we have to move forward with them, so. some of
On the
that-
building?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Once, I will come back and let you know at your June meeting, once
Okay.
I confirm the information, but, the salt shed, that was destroyed.
Wow.
Yeah, so Primex will be issuing a check for $29,435.03 for the actual cash value loss. I was like, Mark, did we respond to this yet? So we sent the response today, and they're gonna send us that check, so.
Very good.
I did also confirm with Bob, because I was a
Years
little
ago.
concerned.
I was thinking, did
I
that just
know.
burn?
I was a little concerned about, we haven't come up with a resolution yet for the, bucket truck.
Mm-hmm.
But the money is in an insurance type account, and it's held there. We don't have to spend it this year, but we have it ready to be able to spend in case we do find a truck.
Okay.
So,
yeah, Victor mentioned.
Yeah.
Vehicle updates. The Dodge, the new one, is getting codes on the new truck, and it's a new car to try and determine what the issue is. As I have more information, I'll let you know. Employee department updates. I already told you about the seasonal employee, the town clerk, tax collectors, you know about that, but their office will be closed tomorrow and Monday, in case anybody's listening. They will not be open again until Tuesday. The New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services is conducting a sanitary survey of our drinking water system. They'll be also discussing, there's a cleanup area this is at the Fowler site.
Mm-hmm.
There's a cleanup area there that someone had brought to mine and Jeff's attention. And we're gonna talk to DES about it as well that day. I have double booked myself, almost triple booked that day, so I'm hoping that Rob can't go because you have a public safety meeting at the same time.
What time? It's 9.
So it's 9:30 at the Fowler Well. I was wondering if any of the other select board members might be able to attend.
It could be.
I can go.
Okay. So you would meet, according to Jeff, he said, please meet at the Fowler Well, 500 West Shore Road at 9:30. If he's not there, he will be right along shortly. They have to go up to Red Sun first, and they do the inspection, the survey up there with DES, and then there's this one. Jeff had said about that site that he thought that previously DES thought it would be better to leave it alone than to dig it up that close to the well and clean it. So we just want to make sure that we get that, we to talk about that again so we know whether we need to do anything or not.
Okay.
So Sean?
Yep.
Okay.
And I think Les?
And
Yeah, I can-
okay,
Yep.
so I'll let Jeff know.
Oop, not
Bring your kayak.
not PM.
No, sorry,
Yeah.
9:30 a.m.
Yeah.
We have public safety building meeting
Yep.
at that same time, so Rob and I will be there.
I did be in.
You did do
That would have been a.
Yeah. Well, it defaults to the hour you're in, so.
Sewer abatement request, this came in while I was away, so it didn't get added to the consent agenda. I don't wanna wait till June 1st to do it. It's recommended by the water sewer department to abate the sewer portion of the bill as a hose was left on involuntarily all quarter. The amount to be abated would be $1,979.31. So I've added a signature line, but you would need to vote on that if you agree with the water sewer recommendation.
How's the water look?
It was an outdoor hose, and it was left dripping for a whole quarter on instead of shutting it off.
And it
Um,
went into a
it went
Drain.
into a drain, yeah,
then went into the system. Yeah.
yeah, so.
Wow, that sounds
Yeah.
like a lot of money.
Yeah.
So if you agree, that's Jeff.
I agree with Jeff's recommendation.
recommends
It
So
says-
someone
yeah.
could motion it.
Oh, we need a motion?
Yeah.
Make a motion to go along with the water superintendent's superintendent's recommendation for the sewer abatement request for Solito's Restaurant for the amount of $1,979.31.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Les. Any further questions, discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that is one abstention.
Yeah, I'm abstaining because I do business with them.
Yep, that's 301, sorry.
The next up, there's a policy certificate program I would like to participate in. It's an 8-course curriculum for municipal officials. It's also open to the board members if you're interested. The course goes from September 13th to October 25th. It's free to members, but it covers, instead of me reading all of that, there's a lot of stuff that's covered in there. So I would like to, I gotta check the schedule, but I would like to sign up to do this because I think it's very beneficial, especially with the finance office.
Makes sense.
Great.
I'm getting tired of that. Read that as police certificate program, I'm like, what do you want to go to that for?
Did you draw these on?
When's the other round?
No.
Okay. The next one, I thought it would be nice, and Tom Caldwell's here as well, but the police chief had a really nice article
Yes.
on leading the team written by Tom Caldwell. I added that, I can share it, but it'll be too hard to read it on the screen.
Yeah.
But it's in your folders under TA-1A, so it was a very nice article on the Bristol Police Chief, so. If anybody hasn't seen it, they should take some time and look at it, so.
Where is it again? I'm sorry.
If you go in your folder under oops, I forgot to put it. It should be T11 and then TA-1A.
Oh, there it is.
You got it? Okay.
Leading the team, yeah.
And yeah, that's the whole article right there. Under events, just a reminder, next Tuesday, the 23rd, from 12 to 4, you have the goal setting session. Are you still all going to be able to be there?
What is it again?
Next Tuesday, 12 to 4. I was gonna plan on I'll provide water and probably snacks. I didn't think that a 4-hour session, I probably should make sure there's something here for
Yeah.
people to be able to move themselves.
I won't be able to attend.
You were tentative, so.
Yeah, that
Okay.
week we're going into our busy season.
All right,
I will be
Sure.
here, but I will be probably half an hour late.
okay. I think Carol had said tentative too, but I think, and we have one department head who can't, but we have another one who might be tentative depending on.
Yeah, okay.
But Sally Tanner from Primex will be here to moderate, I guess you
Great.
would say, so. Appointment to an office. We have talked to Don Milbrand, and he has agreed to join the planning board to fill the term of the
Great.
recently open position. We have set his term up for the same term, which is March 10th through 2026. And he's already on the CIP, so he will serve as the CIP planning board representative. They'll vote him in.
Is this the first open position or the second?
This is the second, but we filled the first open position with the alternate, which was
With
John
John,
Miller.
great.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is the second, and
Great.
Don's agreed to come back in. But we have to do the appointment tonight, so he can act at next
So you
week's
need a
meeting.
motion?
Yes.
I make a motion to appoint Don Milbrand to join the planning board to fill the open position.
Sir?
And the appointment would be approved through March 10th, 2026. Now you can second.
Seconded by Rob. Any further questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, great.
And we reel him back in.
Yeah.
I did, he did text me while I was away and tell me, and I'm like, see, I told you I'd get you back.
And a huge thank you to Don.
Yes,
He brings
absolutely.
brings a lot of experience,
Yes.
and thank you for stepping up.
Next one, Affinity LED project. So they finished the downtown project this week. They also installed the shade, and I've already gotten an email from the person thanking me.
Oh, good.
So good news there. I've not seen the shade yet, but
Yeah.
these are the old lights, and now I need to know. So I wanted you to be able to see what it looked like, where they had to cut, some of them are a little banged up in the
Yeah.
process. But this is what they looked like, where you had to cut the piece off.
Yeah.
So there were 19 of them, and what do we want to do with them at this point? We talked about trying to put them out and see if anybody wanted them. I don't know if you wanted to put them out for purchase. We talked about the fire department, but the fire departments, those have been donated. The new public safety, I mean.
All of them.
Let me change that word, public safety, but I
Yeah.
believe those are being donated, so we didn't need them there now.
Okay.
I don't know, there's also, one of the contracts that I'm looking into is the PAP.
Oh, yeah.
So we talked, so I don't know if we could reuse these, we have to invest in some poles.
Yeah.
I just don't know. if
Which
they-
path?
Pemmy back.
The River Falls, I mean,
I would think we'd have to,
we were
you'd
supposed
have
to.
to go through to retrofit those to another.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We are, because according to one of the contracts, we're supposed to install 3 poles,
Mhm.
so. But those were donated, were supposed to be donated, I don't know if they're still going to be, everything's up in the air, so.
Okay, well, we don't have to make that decision tonight.
Mark is storing them, so
That's
we're getting quite a bit of room up.
what you do.
But, so I can put them back on June 1st when I have a
Yes.
little more information.
Yeah, we'll have a chance to think about it.
Alright, we met the last.
Make a
last
great
time.
string of.
Round the pool.
Yeah, I already like.
We'll crisscross the square like we used to with the Christmas decorations.
And then I can see it now when one falls and hits somebody on the head. We could do, Mill Street.
It's not.
Realtor give back day, we'd met this time, so we didn't really get to talk a lot about this. I just wanted to mention it again because I think it's nice to tell them also,
Yeah.
thank you. Realtor give back day was May 4th. The Lakes Region Board of Realtors each year does a Realtor give back day as a way to give back to communities they serve. The Bristol group did a beach cleanup at Cummings Beach. Those who helped out were from Old Mill Properties and Granite Group Realty Services. Kate graciously went and was able to take a picture of some of the workers. From left to right in the photo, you have Elena Shin, Kim Bruno, Rhonda Reno, Marsha Laycox, Lorna Platts Soroy, and David Laurie. So they did, there's no beach, but they did do the grassy area and cleaned up, and then Mark's crew went and picked up all of the debris. So, and they provided their own tools, they provided their own bags, so just thought it would be nice to say thank you.
That's the second year in a row they've
Yeah.
got a huge contingent to show up and do something in the community, which is, we really appreciate it.
I'm not gonna share pictures of the next one, but they're in your folders if you need to see them under 11 TA3.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give you a heads up on the property. A number of concerns have been brought to it up, and I worked with the new health officer, and we haven't issued an order to vacate, but we've issued an order to remedy. By the end of the month, if those things have not been addressed, then there could be an order to vacate issued, which will displace approximately 6 people. But we'll make sure that we give Ingrid a heads up if that comes to fruition. So those are just a minor sampling of pictures.
Yeah.
But
Is this the one with, it was a garage issue also?
yeah, barn, I think.
Well there.
Barn, yeah, I think so, because the chief went in as well. And then there were campers. Yep. Just for the reason I touched base on the next item, the budget analysis, the finance officer will send those items out to you normally once a month when the month's closed. I'm touching base because for Rob and Scott.
Yeah.
The report shows where the budgets are in comparison to where they should be. So that's under the TA-4, and that you probably got that in your email. I will have that fixed, by the way, Rob. We have a login that will fix that.
I'm used to it now.
So, but if you have any questions about that, either myself or Bob should be able to answer any questions you have. He sends those out also with expense reports and revenue reports, so you can see where things are in the budget. So, Army Corps, PIMI Path Subcommittee. I think I talked to the chair, but I notified the PIMI Path Subcommittee that the Army Corps requested a single line of communication. That email's in your packets. I also let them know any information that comes from them, letters, negotiations, et cetera, needs to be done with the town administrator's office.
Right.
So one of the things that I had also shared in that email that I have a new update on was that the Army Corps was going to, I type out my note, sorry, it says Army Crop. The Army Corps was going to be doing samples. They notified me today that they have done them. They took samples of the material in the container and the 4 soil samples previously discussed. They anticipate a 2-week turnaround on the results. So we're getting a step closer. That'll be nice to see what's actually in that container.
Yeah.
We did not get approved for congressionally directed spending. However, I've received a message from a member of the public who has pointed out some trail funding that's out there. So we're gonna look into that next.
Great. Thank you for that person as well.
AP check issue, I just wanted to give you a heads up in case you hear anything. We think it's, TD Bank implemented a new website system on May 8th. Another typo, which caused some AP checks to be returned. We believe it was restricted to 7 vendors who we have been in contact with, and we're paying any fees that are associated with those checks being returned. TD Bank will reimburse us also for those fees, but should anybody say anything, we believe it's restricted to 7.
Yeah.
And under your TA number 6 is the Wellington boat ramp. Carol Brown did have a conversation with the Fish and Game office. He relayed that conversation in your packets. One of the things that the fishing game, they don't have funding to keep the officer out there, but they wanted to point out that the PD had the same authority as the Fish and Game. Chief Bean's concern is now that the police
that's great.
department is going to be paying for that out of the town's budget. So,
Right.
he was going to propose a response as well, but there's been a few
Yep.
things going on, so he hasn't been able to do that, so.
So the big issue with that rent compared to Meredith is one in, one out. That one, you end up stacked up with two lines.
Right.
And there's a lot of confusion as to, or everybody has their own idea how it's supposed to operate. So I think one of the things, if they are not going to have someone there needs to be some kind of better guidance as to how that ramp operates, whether one side's for launching and one side's for, pulling out, or there's literal close to, if not actual fistfights.
I'm sure, yeah.
And that's my big concern, is the burden it's gonna put on the PD.
Absolutely.
Deb's telling me that she's frozen on something.
I'm good now, Christina,
Okay, good.
exploring the technology presentation.
Okay, sorry, the texts weren't coming through for some reason earlier. Okay, so I will get a response from Chief Bean, but I don't know if we can determine if there's something more we want to respond to them as a group, but. The timber intent that was, at the last meeting, it was inquired on whether or not they did have a timber intent on the property off Summer Street, and they do. I noted the owners there and their contractor. North Main Street, I skipped one. The DES concern on Hall Road, we have checked, we haven't gotten a response. We've reached out to determine if there is an issue or not. We hope they will get a final answer. North Main Street concern, we've updated our records with the pictures of the damage. Jeff and Mark have spoken to the owner's contractor, and they're supposed to be repairing it tomorrow.
Great.
We'll follow up and make sure that it was addressed, so. Community Garden Group, if their funding allows, they would like to add 2 more garden beds. So I did talk to Mark. Mark doesn't have any concerns, and he feels there's ample room, but I wanted to bring it before the select board before we said yes, so.
I have no issue.
Okay. And it's just 2 right now, that's all they're asking for. They've had plenty of applications this year, a lot, I think it's been more than even
Good.
last year, so.
They provide all their own materials and everything.
Yep, the only thing we provide at the location is a porta potty at the park, which
And the
gets
water.
used.
Right.
Yeah, the water, yeah, so. Communications, there's a letter from the Attorney General, it's directed to all municipalities. It's regarding social media platforms and whether communities are bringing independent action or not. We haven't been approached by anybody to do anything like that, but this is asking if we are going to ever pursue legal action, then they would like to be notified and work as a group. And you can read the letter if you want. Also in your folders under TA8 is an inspection of red list bridges. These are based off of the 2022 inspections. The red list bridge, the state bridges went from 114 to 118. The municipalities went from 222 to 210. There were 22 bridges that were removed, but 7 new added. So we are, if you go down to the bottom of that, the culvert bridge on Danforth Brook Road is still on the list and labeled as poor, but they don't actually put it in order anymore for municipalities, you just labeled as poor. But we did have 2 state bridges on there, which I didn't realize before, so I figured I would point this out to you. Grafton County Commissioners proposed fiscal year 2024 budget. They sent it in. I figured I'd scan it and put it on the website in case anybody wants to see it. Do any of you want it? Okay. I just want to make sure. And the last thing under communications, I have a wetlands permit by notification for the Converse Stanley, and they're just replenishing sand on the beach off of West Shore Road. Okay.
Is that due to erosion or something?
Yeah, usually, probably it all ends up further down. so,
Yeah. Yeah.
but,
All right.
I think that's it. Yep, that's it.
Great. Select board items. Les?
I don't know where the Verizon tower was. The only thing I have is the info booth. I'm planning on trying to get it open for Memorial Day. It's kind of a no man's land, like nobody really has any
Right.
oversight of it, but I usually open it and close it at the end of the season and try to get the stuff in there. So what I wanted to see is there anything that this board would like to see done there that we haven't done?
Can I just mention a comment? We had an issue at the end of last week. And there was a concern it was unlocked and somebody was in there.
It shouldn't be unlocked, I locked it.
We lock it at night.
The info booth?
Do we lock it at night when we
It's
open it for the season?
It's locked from October after Columbus Day until I open it, and I haven't opened it yet.
But when you open it, do we lock it at night?
I see what you're saying. No.
It's never attended,
I
right?
forgot to
Not
tell you
anymore.
about that. But
Okay. So we need to lock it at night.
we need to lock it at night.
Yeah.
That matter was resolved. There was a U-Haul, and so they were staying in the U-Haul. The U-Haul, not to get into too much detail, the U-Haul plates were expired, it got towed. One of the people that were
Yeah.
involved had a warrant on them, but they were sleeping next to the info booth. at
Yeah.
one
Not
point.
inside?
Not inside.
Oh, okay.
I got questions if it was unlocked, and I'm like, I don't think so, but maybe you should check it.
No,
So-
but it has always been unlocked. No,
During the
let's just
season.
put it out there.
Yeah.
Well, who's gonna go lock it and unlock it every
It's a
day?
great question.
Yeah.
Maybe the
Well,
PD?
I was gonna say, if we should figure out something better to make
Yeah.
sure when we unlock it.
Or
That's
maybe
seasonal,
no,
that's
maybe-
seasonal position.
Maybe our
Oh.
parks person could
That's
do
true.
that. That could be part of what they do.
Was it unlocked all last year?
You could put a,
Why not just have the PD periodically check it during the season?
Yeah.
Well, it didn't seem to be abused. There was somebody, maybe at one point, it might have been 2 years ago, somebody had been staying in there. And so but that got resolved, so I don't know. It hasn't been a problem last summer that I saw.
Yeah, I hate to see it have to be such a burden when you just tell the PD, hey, check it once every couple days.
you could also just do one of the combo key boxes, and then you'd have a key there to unlock it, lock it.
Yeah, we
And
could.
then anyone who needs to, would have access to the combo.
You can just make a key for the Kelly Park person.
Yeah, either way.
We'll make sure to figure it out someone
I
there.
have to put it on my alarm to remember on the way home. Yeah,
I was gonna say, I'm here a lot at the night, so I swing
Yeah.
by on my way home. But if
yeah,
someone's
so
in there.
I get it.
So, other
So
than-
is there anything anybody wants to
I
see
know now that we.
other than a locked door at night?
Did we ever replace the sign for the building?
There is a sign on it, a good
I
sign
couldn't
on it.
remember, so.
And then there's the signage on the back that we can put posters on, and we'll do the flowers and stuff like that, and I have just reached out, and I put it on Facebook,
saw
I
that.
think, today.
Yeah.
To say if there are any local businesses that have flyers that they would like to have in the booth, to please get them to me. I figured that was the easiest way to get the word out. And the realtors will use it a lot, some of the cottages will use it, so it would be nice at some point in time to have it staffed again, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Spirit of volunteerism isn't what it used to be.
No.
All right, great. Sorry.
That was it for me.
Is that all you had? Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. Scott?
Nothing as far as the board goes, but planning board, we met Wednesday, and we approved the site survey for the new coffee shop with the stipulation that a fence go in to divide the two parking lots.
Okay.
Unless, I don't know, they may work on an arrangement between the two landowners.
I saw that,
legal binding.
I saw that it had been staked out. Yeah.
You turn between the brewery shop and,
No, on the other side.
oh,
So the proposed site has up to 14
I
parking
think it's
spots
there.
total, but
Wow.
6 in the front and 8 on the side.
Realize
I
that.
think
Angled
that's
in.
right, no.
Yeah.
But the discussion and what we voted on was that we didn't want the traffic going out and crossing through the abutters,
Unless they have
unless they have a legal binding,
Agreement.
because they're looking for long-term.
Yeah.
And the abutter was here for the meeting, so.
The owner of
The owner was
the
here.
building, but not the business.
So,
Yeah.
and there was, he had some concerns about the access and the parking, but if they can work it out, then they just have to come back to change the site.
It sounds like they're gonna work it out. They'll work out something, because they want it, they each are willing to,
Yeah.
you know.
Good.
And I think that's all we did.
Yeah, and then they need some work, but he can start on the work now that the permit is issued.
He is going to have a second office in there, and that's got signs up to rent the commercial space. So they'll have, the restaurant side, and then there's an office side that is supposed to be rented out.
1 or 2 offices?
One.
1 office.
Yeah.
Okay. Rob?
I don't know.
Okay. What's our plan, speaking of the beach, what's our plan for the beach?
Hey,
Cleanup.
Deb?
Well, what do you mean, plan?
Be more specific.
Been walking down there and just, it's, with the high water we had, it's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, we're gonna open up Memorial Day. I've been in touch with Jamie Moulton trying to get swim lines in. And, I don't know what to do, Sean, about the level of the water. The water's what it's gonna be until,
Wow, you got slapped.
It's not the level of the water, it's all of the debris on the, who's doing the cleanup?
well, the highway's supposed to clean it up, but I've been told that it's the level of the water still.
So I think they're waiting for the water to recede.
Oh, I see, that wasn't a snap at me. Okay.
Oh, no,
Certainly not.
no, I'm sorry.
No, not at all. Okay, I got you. All right, so we'll,
We haven't been able to have any of the beaches cleaned because there wasn't
Yeah.
a beach, but as the water starts to recede,
yeah,
I will talk to Mark, but their plan is to take care of that.
okay.
Just,
Mark told me last week that everything would be done by the end of this week, this coming week.
Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
They
They,
usually drive the loader right down there, and you could drive the loader, you're just gonna be driving on the water.
Right.
I will add that they did paint crosswalks.
I did see
Yes.
that.
And some
Yep.
lines.
Yep.
They have to go paint a no parking area for the farmer's market. That hasn't been done yet, but we did tell them we would so that the handicap parking doesn't get blocked in.
Yeah.
But they're getting the things ticked off.
Yeah, great.
We're still struggling to get help, and we're going to the high school on Thursday for a job fair, in the hours of 12:15 and 2:30
Great.
to see if we can get some attendance.
I forgot to thank you for
Yeah, what
for mentioning that,
Melanie.
Deb. So the town clerk's office was supposed to also go.
Yeah.
The fire department's going. We've recruited water sewers going, because they have a couple of open positions trying to get somebody who's coming out of high school.
Yeah, intern, yeah,
Yeah, Deb's gonna
Yeah,
go.
great.
I have new applications for the beach from Indeed. I will get those to you, Deb. Right now, we have how many?
We have 3,
And 4
Great.
now, Deb.
and myself.
Quick question regarding the beach lines.
Mhm.
I'll talk to you about this after, actually.
okay.
I don't wanna-
We have a contract, but
Deleted.
I'll tell you after, yeah.
Yeah. All right,
I will add, really quick in your new fold on your desktop, there's the folder that says additional, it says select board info.
Yep.
I added I downloaded the newest version of Knowing the Territory, and that is added into that folder now for you.
Great.
I forgot to tell you that. And then, Deb has updated these before you.
Thanks,
and
Deb.
those are returned to you, and Sean's got his copy.
Yep.
Next.
Okay.
Hey, thank you. Public comment? Sir?
Not much,
Oh, just came to visit us tonight? Appreciate it.
kinda, sorta.
Yeah.
Just basically follow up on that water running across the sidewalk.
Yep, I did go up and take a look at that right after, I think we had gotten a warm up right after that. I have not seen it because I haven't seen it during the
Just
rain.
go up there sometime when it rains.
When it rains.
You will see it.
Because
Where's that from?
it's, so this is,
The yellow building right there on Second Street,
Oh.
right in Backbit.
Yeah,
They reshaped that, all bowl shaped it all the way so the water runs right across the sidewalk. There was 8 inches of ice on that sidewalk last month.
right, and 2 days later when I went to look, it was right after the,
Right after the water.
yeah, it was right after the warm up, so, and I have been driving up there to check on some other things periodically, but I admit it hasn't been during the
You'll see
rain.
it when it rains.
So when,
trust me.
the next,
I did, Mark and I are talking about it. I sent him an email last
Yep.
week just to remind him. But I have to pull the agreement when they put the swale in of that
Yep.
property.
yeah,
Because we did meet with them about the swale, but I know one of the stipulations was not.
can't have water
Water.
coming out on the road.
They could put a DI in there behind the sidewalk.
A what?
A DI,
Yep,
you know what that is?
no,
Okay, I've been doing this for 50 years.
yeah, that's all right.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
jack timber,
Yep,
okay, it's just a concrete structure that they set in the ground. And the water runs into it, comes out one pipe, they'd have to pipe it into the old drainage system.
yep, okay,
I think Mark did mention that there was some work he had to do with the sidewalk there, so I believe,
okay.
I don't know if they're ready to do that.
All right, we'll follow up with Mark, and I promise you the next heavy rain, I'll take a skid up through there.
But that, it
Yeah.
runs,
Yeah, I know, yeah, it's a concern, and I can appreciate you following up on it. Yeah.
And thanks for your patience.
on that,
no problem.
back to last meeting about the Hall Road
Yep.
issue there. I did go up and look at it. I don't know if you had a chance.
I did, yeah.
You did, yeah.
Yeah.
There's
The other
not
Hall Road.
much he can.
It really isn't, without blasting or hammering or
No,
something.
yeah, there's no room to, I mean, I'd love to say, yeah, tell them to go up and ditch it, but there's nowhere to ditch.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it's really kind of keep it cleaned up and, you know, when it does overflow.
I
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
talk to the person while I was at the conference, and things have settled down, but I will follow up with an email that both of you have gone out. But,
okay,
The only concern I did have up there is just beyond Harriet Drive, was that drainage is, you know, who's responsible for that? Is it the town, or was that an issue caused by the paving company when that road was repaved that should have been addressed?
I don't know. I'd have to look at that specific, I was looking at the ditching,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because that's where the major washout was there. I was actually the one that called Mark and told him about it when it
Yeah.
first happened.
Yeah, and speaking back to selectmen items, and since we're talking about roads, I did go up and the work at not Schaefer Road,
Jeffers.
Road was done, and that was cut back.
Okay.
Yeah, and I thought that Mark did a good job with it. Probably neither one of them are happy, but that probably means it's exactly where
It's where it's
it
supposed to
needs to be. Yeah.
Have you been on the class 6 portion?
Yes, and the last, Christina is mentioning that the outfit who was doing all the work on the power lines had requested to use the section of the Class 6 road. We met on site. Basically, they're having problems with the hill going up and over the ravines on where the power line is itself. We met on site. We went over the impact with the abutters. An agreement was made that they were going to use it, but then it was very clear that it was going to be a problem with one of the abutters, and they, long story short is they don't have to use it, they'd like to use it. And they made it clear in that meeting that they would only go through with it if the abutters were okay. And as it turns out, one of them is not, and so that's off the table. Yeah, so no issue there.
Is that off of Old Coach Road there?
No, it's the extension of Schaefer Road.
Okay.
Yeah, out towards Ben's,
Oh, okay, yeah,
towards
yeah.
Ben's Road. Yeah.
Do we pursue the other gating
Yes.
ourselves now?
Yep. Yep. Okay. Tom?
Nothing from you.
Okay. Great. Any other?
Motion to adjourn?
Okay. Motion by Les, second
Oh my
by
gosh, it's
Scott.
only
All
10
those in
minutes.
favor?
What are we gonna do with the next hour and a half?
Everybody say aye. Aye. Thank you, Deb.
Good night, Deb.